How's it going, USC football fans? Welcome back to Coliseum Chronicles Live. Casey alongside Terrence. The regular season's officially over. USC finishes with a 9-3 record. So now they look ahead to the bowl game and the recruiting. Finished with the number one recruiting class in the nation. Over 30 recruits. Terrence, I mean, how excited are you to, even though it was a disappointing season by not making the CFP, USC is doing its work and waiting for a bowl game. How much excitement do you have at this point?
Yeah, Casey, I predicted them to finish 8-4, and I'm glad that I was not vindicated in part of that sense. I thought that they would lose to Nebraska. They didn't. I'm very happy I was wrong about that. That being said, they did, of course, beat a hobbled Dylan Raiola, hobbled Nebraska without Dylan Raiola. But they went 9-3. I'm not going to say this season wasn't a success. But we do have to look ahead to next year because that's when people really believe that USC is going to get cooking. And we could look at the schedule some other time because the schedule is a little questionable. But I do think we should talk about the recruits. National Signing Day was 2 days ago, Wednesday. Casey, USC officially finishing with a number one class after Chris Henry Jr. signing with Ohio State, not flipping Oregon. Thank goodness. Even though USC does play to Ohio State, I would so much rather he go to Ohio State than Oregon. So, Casey, what recruit do you think you're most excited for?
I mean, there's a couple. I was going to say Pepe, but I'm going to go Mark Bowman. He's the second highest recruited player in the class for USC. He's the number 3 player in the state, number 3 tight end. And according to 247, all this, by the way. And I mean, he is just a special player. He's got the frame to be, he could have started, at tight end this past year for USC. He's 6'4.5", 225. He's got incredible route running for a tight end, great hands. I've watched his tape, modern day kid. You can tell he wants to stay close to home and build something at USC. And the fact that they're losing Lake McCree, but they'll have Walker Lyons likely next year, just shows that they're building a tight end core that is very strong. And so I'm really excited about Mark Bowman.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick because he is going to be, you're losing Lake McCree. Bowman is regarded as one of the best prospects that a lot of these recruiters, I should say, has seen in a long time. Has the frame, has the play style of lots of guys we've seen in the pros, such as Brock Bowers. Casey, the thing I really want to highlight, 8 guys in this USC class coming from the Trinity League, of course, the premier league here in high school football down in Southern California. The last couple years, they've gotten almost no one. They have barely gotten anyone from Mater Dei, from Bosco, from any of these big schools that are down here. Establishing that pipeline from Southern California to the Coliseum to Heritage Hall is what Lincoln Riley should have been doing from the start. Not trying to go after all these guys from Georgia. Not that I'm saying that they shouldn't, but they need to establish it with these Southern California guys because they are the ones who want to play for USC. There was an old Pete Carroll quote, which he said, no, he didn't say, or it's not an old Pete Carroll quote, I should say. It is something that happened during the Pete Carroll era where if you went to a school in Southern California and Pete Carroll's USC offered you, you committed on the spot. You committed on the spot because you wanted to play for USC. It needs to get to that level. Now, it 100% is getting closer. USC signed an incredible amount of players from Southern California. I haven't even mentioned a player yet. I realize I'm going a little off base. But also, even if you took out every single – I'm now just kind of ranting. But if you took out every single one of the 3-star recruits, USC would still have the number 1 recruiting class. That is how impressive I think this is for Lincoln Riley's squad.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you look at Caden Dixon-Wyatt, another modern day kid. The class as a whole. I mean, Kini Pepe, he comes from IMG Academy, so that's not nearby. Jamie Winfield as well comes from the South. But, I mean, there's so many guys in here that are just, top tier Southern California players. And a lot of modern day kids did go to other places, like you mentioned Chris Henry. But USC got the cream of the crop. They got the best players from this region. I'm really excited about Boobie Feaster as well.
Yes.
I mean, the receiving core with him, Caden Dixon-Wyatt, Tanook Hines, who's already on the team. I mean, this could be setting up USC. Mark Bowman, obviously. Like, you could be setting up USC for a future like none other. Like the pipeline right now, it feels like Lincoln Riley is keeping his promise of the offense always having playmakers. You can say what you want to say about wins and losses, but USC is always going to have the playmakers.
Yep.
And I mean, that doesn't even include the running backs, Deshaun Rideau, Sean Alston. I mean, Jonas Williams, rather. There's so many guys that are going to come in this class and be special.
Now, there's a few things I want to touch on because we've seen a lot of guys from USC enter the transfer portal. None all that surprising. None that really stand out as, oh, wow, that's a little shocking. It's guys who I think they thought they might be replaced with the upcoming class. So I'm not taking it really as a big hit, if we're being completely honest. Guys like, I think Gus Cordova could have been good. But, I don't think a guy like that is that big a loss when you're bringing in, and I'm going to mention a guy here, Casey, Luke Waffle.
Yep.
That is a guy who could be instant impact because I kind of just salivate on the thought of him and Jakeem Stewart playing on each side of each other on the defensive line. That is really what gets me excited about this class because, and I saw the comment here from Larry, but Lincoln Riley teams are soft. Yeah, they are. But I think that this class is the first step into making them no longer soft, building up the trenches. I think we're going to see what officially happens. The transfer portal, it's not officially open yet, if I'm not mistaken. So players can't commit to schools. You can't actually recruit guys. But as soon as it starts to get cooking a little bit more, I think we'll see more from Bowman.
Yeah, I don't really like the mentality of Lincoln Riley teams are soft because yes, they are right now, but also that's not something that's necessarily going to be a mainstay. I mean, I think this USC class is showing that USC is actually taking pride in its backyard in the recruiting. I mean, USC has had good recruiting classes under Lincoln Riley. 2023, I mean, what a receiver class that was. Deuce Robinson, Zachariah Branch, Jacoby Lane, Mekhi Lemon. List goes on. I think Walker Lyons was in that class too. If you're looking at pass catchers. With that being said, the defense brought in a lot of recruits on this. I mean, Jamian Winfield, 4-star recruit.
That's going to be a good one, too. Didn't even mention him.
Yeah, he's the number 3 defensive lineman in the country, and he's from Texas. Talanoa Ely, linebacker, number 5 linebacker in the country. You brought up Luke Waffle, one of the best edge rushers in the country out of this class. I mean, the list goes on. I'm not even including Elbert Hill and others on this list. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of crazy to jump to conclusions. I think this is a team that is building something. And yes, there hasn't been success under the 4 years of Lincoln Riley, but we know that Lincoln Riley is going to be here at least 5 more, 6, 7, 8 more years, depending. You have to build for the future. And I know the first couple of years have been disappointing, but a lot has changed in college football. I cut him a little bit of slack here. He also didn't have Chad Bowden to recruit a class. So I think, now we're seeing just so much change in college football. I'm not going to cut Lincoln too much slack, but I cut him a little bit. I think, this is an unprecedented class. This is the first time USC has had a class like this in over 15 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I want to say 2006 was the last time USC signed the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Pretty crazy. The talent, I'm not going to say all the freshmen are going to instantly make an impact, and you're going to have to go get some transfers. That's what I fully believe to fill some of the gaps. You're going to need some DBs. You're going to need people on both lines, to be honest. Wide receiver, I think they're good. Running back, good. Quarterback, whether it's Mayava, whether it's Longstreet, whether it's even Jonas Williams, one of these guys is going to work out. Casey, though, I do believe to retain the majority of this talent and to build that momentum going forward, next year it's a minimum of 9-3 for USC. And that is going to be really difficult. That's where you have to go, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I think it is difficult, but also most of the
I'm going to share the schedule. I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah. And I just want to say, most of the tough games are at home, and the Coliseum was a really good place to play for USC.
Great place. Yeah. Lincoln Riley is what? Is it 18-1 against? It was 18-1, I want to say, against unranked teams going in this season. Maybe 19.
I don't know. I mean, I know he lost to Penn State last year, and the year before that they had some losses, but
yeah. But taking a look at the schedule here,
Notre Dame last year.
So thank you for the positivity, Ron. Always appreciate it. I've been a Lincoln Riley hater, and maybe he's not. Who knows? Who knows if he starts winning? But who knows?
I just don't really see how that's possible with his contract. But
I mean, I think he has 5 years left. Yeah, I don't know. But so let's. None of these dates are really set except for the Fresno State. Notre Dame is also not set, so I'm not going to count that one yet. and they need one more out of conference, if I'm not mistaken. But win here, tough here. Tough, but I mean,
No, I think that's a win.
I think it should be a win. You know, obviously this morning signing Matt Campbell, best signing they could have made at this point. Swung a miss on so many people. At the same time, they had 3 recruits in this recruiting class. They have 3 high schoolers coming in. It's going to be really hard for them to win games. So I'm going to chalk it up as a win, but at the same time, USC on the road is really, really bad. And that's why I also think Rutgers is hard, because you have to go to the East Coast. You have to go to the East Coast multiple times in this. You have to go 2 times. So you have those 2. At UCLA is a win. Maryland should be a win. These 2 are going to be hard. If you want to make the playoff, you got to split these. That's going to be really, really difficult to split them both.
Yeah, and I mean, even Washington is not.
Even Washington. I'm a little surprised Jed Fish didn't leave. I thought he wouldn't, but he did not. At Wisconsin, they should win, and Notre Dame, always tough. So realistically, if you want to retain most of the recruits, build momentum going into the year, I think you have to win at least at least 2 of Indiana, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame. So you can go.
Yeah, I think 9-3. I think 8-4 is a lock almost. I think 9-3 is reachable but tough.
I wouldn't say 8-4 is a lock, but
I think it is, because you lose to Indiana.
Yep.
You lose to Ohio State. You lose to Oregon, and you lose to Notre Dame.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna give a lock to Penn State and Washington, or Wisconsin for that matter. Maybe. I doubt Fick will have.
Okay. I mean, it is hard to tell. We don't know who's going to be quarterback next year. I think it could be a really interesting, if Maeva leaves, a really interesting QB controversy.
Yep.
I think. I mean, I like Longstreet, but I think Jonas Williams is really talented, and I think he even rose a little bit, and I think he's still underrated.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, I think Longstreet's a good QB, but I don't know. It's too early to tell. But
yeah, way too early. We haven't seen him throw the ball enough. Not nearly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Casey, that's next year. Let's talk a little bit more about this year, because we have to do only a quick show today. Bowl predictions, though, and I'm going to pull up some bowl predictions from various places. But where do you think USC is going? I think there's a consensus.
Alamo Bowl. Yeah, they're going the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, and they're likely going to play BYU. Depends if BYU were to win today or something like that, or not today. Why did I say today? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. They're taking on Texas Tech. If they were to win that game, they're likely in the playoff. They should be in the playoff. If they lose, they're probably playing USC in the Alamo Bowl. If BYU wins, I bet it's Houston who they get.
Yep.
If I'm mistaken. Let's talk a little bit about BYU, though, because that does seem the most likely. It's a tough matchup for USC, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, BYU is a good running team, and USC has struggled to stop the run this year.
Yes.
I mean, between Bear Bachmeier as a quarterback, but also LJ Martin, LJ Martin has been fantastic this year.
Great.
1,200 yards on the ground, 11 touchdowns. Bear Bachmeier also has 11 touchdowns on the ground, which is crazy. He doesn't throw a ton of touchdowns himself, but he also doesn't throw a ton of picks.
No,
so
only 4 interceptions on the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very
make a lot of mistakes.
Parker Kingston's also a great receiver. I think he's underrated for sure. Chase Roberts as well. I mean, they have a really good group of playmakers on that team. And I think Bear Bachmeier is kind of an unpredictable QB himself, because he's deceptive. He's the type of quarterback you don't know what he's going to do. He has tricks up his sleeve. That being said, I think USC can win. I mean, it's going to be hard to tell with who plays and who doesn't. We're not going to know for a couple of weeks who's actually going to play. In fact, we might see a Hassan Longstreet start. You never know.
Yeah, you don't know. Maybe Maeva will declare for the draft, and we'll get his sense if USC truly needs a quarterback or not.
Yeah. So, what do you think, though?
Of course, they'll likely have to get one before then. But I like BYU. I think it's a decent matchup for USC. It's definitely not the best running attack that USC has played. Both Michigan and Oregon better.
It's up there, though.
Maybe Iowa as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, they do. They have the 23rd best rushing offense. It's good. Don't get me wrong. But Notre Dame as well. Forgot Notre Dame. But I have always said this about Bear Bachmeier, and you know this. Once they get down, it's really hard for him to throw back into games. And sure, that has only happened once this year. It happened against Texas Tech, where Texas Tech kind of killed them. They really did. They beat the heck out of them in Lubbock. And I kind of think they're going to do it again this week in the Big 12 championship in Dallas. So if Texas Tech were to beat them again, beat them handily again, I think Lincoln Riley and USC will have a pretty good playbook of what to do. Texas Tech is a lot better than USC. They have one of, if not the best defensive line in college football, in my opinion. And they have a very solid offense and defense as well. So I think USC is going to need to try. I've said this about like every single game is the problem, and it's never once come true. But USC needs to get up early and force their opponent to throw back into the game.
Yeah.
I said that about Iowa, and of course they came back and won Iowa, but they had to come back. Couldn't get down early.
I just don't know if BYU needs to do all that. Like you look at the Holy War, BYU was really never trailing in that game.
No.
But Bear Bachmeier was clutch on the ground in the fourth quarter. He had a running touchdown. Kingston had a running touchdown. You know, the Holy War was a great win for BYU, and they've done that against a couple other teams as well. Look at the Arizona game. They won in double overtime over Arizona, and Arizona ended up being a pretty good team this year. So with that being said, I mean, I agree he's not a guy who's necessarily going to sling it at the end of games, but he is clutch running at the end of games, Bear Bachmeier. He was clutch in that Arizona game. I mean, you know, there's a lot of games you can point to. They're a clutch team.
Hey, he's a great quarterback. For a true freshman who was really thrown into this role because of Retzloff, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, he's exceeded all expectations.
100%.
And, I mean, even against Iowa State, he threw for 307 yards. Like,
yeah.
He can throw, but he's not.
He can throw. I seriously just think that USC is going to get up on this team. USC has performed well in bowl games in the last 2 years, to Lincoln Riley's credit. Both Louisville and Texas A&M coming back against Texas A&M and winning that game. Very impressive, in my opinion. It is a matter of who's actually playing or not. Very possible we don't see Mekhi Lemon, which is a bummer, if so. I think he's about to get screwed out of the Biletnikoff, just like Malik Neighbors was 2 years ago. And, you know, it's tough. But I think we'll have to see Jacoby Lane. We'll have to see Tanuk Hines. I'm excited, though.
I think we'll see.
That's the only part I really like about like the bowl games that don't mean anything is it's usually a test of what you got going forward, of who's already on the roster. It's really the only part I like.
I think we could see a huge Tanuk Hines game.
Yeah,
potentially.
Totally.
BYU, you know, their defense this year has been kind of up and down. They were like the best defensive team in the nation the first 3 weeks or whatever, and then they kind of fell off after that. I mean, they
allowed like a crazy low amount of points.
Yeah, they only gave up like 3 points combined and 16 combined between the first 3 games. But, I mean, they gave up 27 against Iowa State. They gave up 21 against Utah. I can see USC putting a lot of points on the board, but I think BYU will also put up a lot of points on the board. But I think we're going to see a lot of guys who we don't necessarily see a lot step up. I think Lake McCree will play. I think Tanuk Hines is going to have a massive game. I'm interested to see the offensive line too.
Yeah.
You know,
if people can get healthy if they can actually put on a real showing, I think.
Yeah. I think Kamari Ramsey and Bishop will still be out, but I think Kennedy Urlacher could have a really nice game.
He's been good. He's clearly the future. In my opinion, he's clearly the future at safety for USC. I also do want to point out how BYU does not have a good pass defense. 46th in the nation, worse than USC's. Worse than a lot of teams USC has played as well. Worse than UCLA, Northwestern, Oregon, not Notre Dame, Iowa, though. A lot of Nebraska. A lot of teams that USC has already played and did pretty well against, other than Nebraska, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're just a weird team, BYU. It's kind of hard to tell how good they are. I don't think if they do make the CFP, I don't think they'd go very far.
Agreed. I think they'd lose first round probably.
Yeah, and I don't think they will make the CFP. That being said, but yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting game. I think USC's never played at the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, it was fun. You'll be going to that game. You'll be doing some commentary for that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll be there. It'll be fun, and hopefully another third year in a row with a bowl win.
Yeah, need it. But that is going to do it for us here at Coliseum Chronicles Live. Very quick episode today. We apologize. Very busy schedules for both of us. But thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. We really appreciated it. Fight on. We'll be back next week with more recruiting stuff. And thank you.